Eleanor, thank you so much for being here at the podcast. I was so happy to have you. What got you initially excited about partnerships?
Thank you so much for having me. Partnerships it's so exciting because it's so cross-functional and there's so much to it. Like it's for me one of the only roles, if not the only role, that touches pretty much every department of a company. Partnerships will work with sales, they'll work with engineering, they'll work with legal, they'll work with finance. Not only are they doing that, you're not only are you doing that within your own company and the teams that and the environments that you are working in, but you're then doing that with your partners. And if you're working with multiple partners, you're getting to work with so many of their teams as well. So it's super cross-functional. There's something new every single day, and I love that.
Fantastic. So, just like the way how you describe them, it's not only sales partnerships and marketing partnerships, but there are like other types of partnerships. So, could you help us navigate through this wildscape of partnerships?
Yeah, I mean there are many different types of partnerships, and for me, every one of them would touch multiple departments within companies. So that doesn't change dependent on the type of partnership, but you'll see many definitions out there on the number of partnerships that there are. For me, there are 8, key types of partnerships, and a few that I work with more than others. So you can kind of split it up into 3 sections. So you've got affiliate, referral, and marketing. And these are, typically lighter touch partnerships. You might do events together. You might send referrals back and forth from one another. You might give a discount code via a lead. An affiliate partner might be, like an Instagram influencer or something like that that can support referring leads to your business. When you get into kind of more go-to-market sell with partners, you've got OEM, SI partners, and tech partners. So OEM is an original equipment manufacturing partner. And that's where you would see more of a technical integration. And you might not actually see your own product in what they offer to market. So they could, white label your offering. Then you've got SI partners, which are system integrators. You'll both have local systems integrators, which could be called maybe RSIs because they would be regional systems integrators. And then you have the likes of the global systems integrators, and these are the big 4 consultancies that we all know. And then tech partners, and these tech partners would be complementary technologies to your offering. These could be big players or they could be smaller players. And then we have managed service partners and value-added resellers. So managed service partners will offer services around your offering to their customers and manage it on your behalf and the customer's behalf. And then value-added resellers is kind of what it says on the tin, but they resell lots of different technologies to market.
Wow, that was like quite a lot to comprehend. Thank you so much for a very strong start. But you mentioned go to market. So when it comes to partnerships, sometimes we get a little bit naive. So, okay, we will do this partnership. Maybe we just like this comparison and we would like to have their logo on our website. And you know what? Just walk us through the 3 mistakes that usually go to market companies do when we are thinking and developing partnerships.
So I would say one key mistake I see a lot is people trying to partner with too many partners too quickly. You cannot offer value to tons and tons of partners at the same time. You can't onboard them all at the same time, and you probably can't manage them effectively. So working with too many partners too quickly. The second thing would be not resourcing the partners that you're bringing in enough. I see a lot of people making promises they can't potentially fulfill when it comes to bringing on partners. They haven't really spent the time getting to know their partners, what adds value to them, and how you're going to work together really effectively, and then are unable to resource the things that partners want. So not resourcing partners effectively is another mistake I see. And then I think the final one is not having senior buy-in. Like it's so important. I see a lot of leaders, unfortunately, say that partners are important to them. And then they might hire some partner leaders, but don't effectively resource the teams, don't support the teams to actually go to market effectively with partners. And without that senior leadership buy-in, it's a bit of a standing start, and it's really difficult for the partner team and the partners to be effective.
Let's dive into this because these were three amazing points. The first question, when you said like too many partners, what would be reasonable to start with? What would be like a reasonable target?
If you're just starting out and you have no partners whatsoever, I typically say 10.
Okay, and for how long should we keep up with this? For how long should we maintain?
Until at least 50% of them are, successful and generating revenue. It's very normal to have some of your partners that you bring on board that potentially aren't. There's going to be a few along the way that drop off. Once you've got 50% actually generating revenue really well, by that point, partners will start coming to you as well, and you can start to branch out and hire more people and bring on more resources. But it's really about what your revenue targets are with partners, what they can fulfill, and can you resource those partners?
Excellent. Then, when it comes to resources, I think that we are sometimes having this fear of missing out. So, right now, I'm negotiating a deal with Dubai and Mexico, and then like Australia seems lovely, but you know how it is. If you are stretching yourself too thin, then you won't get that far on any island. And just like in terms of calming our thoughts, in terms of resources that we had at our disposal. And I mean, you are offering service help here. So, how to think about this? What is just like reasonable first start, and just like how to kick off this channel, because it's a powerful channel. I definitely recommend it. But when it comes to starting it out, we need your input.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way in which we operate is supporting companies to actually build their first partner programs, and really understanding how to go to market with partners effectively. We do that both at the start, and we can turn around partner programs that aren't necessarily working as well. But within a partner program, you will need support from multiple areas of business. So you're going to need, support from finance to get sign off for maybe some financial benefits for your partners. So ensuring that you can, afford to do that is great. Then sales and marketing support as well. So you're going to need your sales teams to be working with your partners in order for them to be effective. You're going to need some training and enablement for your partners as well. So some support from the technical teams, and then some support from marketing as well to ensure that you can effectively go to market well with your partners. So you don't need a ton of resource initially to get a partner program going, but as it starts to grow and as you start to bring on board more partners and they start to generate revenue for you, they're going to expect a little bit more from you, and you should want to invest more back into them as well.
Got it. Can you walk us through your framework of just like this partnership program? Because you sent it to me beforehand and I saw like different stages, different steps. And from what I could comprehend, it was just like how to select the right partner, how to onboard them, how to strike the deal, and then just like how to make something happen and hopefully scale it. This was by simplistic way how I see your framework, but you're the pro, you tell.
Absolutely. So I break it down into 3 areas, into partner, enable, and grow. And partner is really about everything that happens really before a contract is even signed. And I think that's where I see people going wrong sometimes, is that their initial priority is let's just get a contract signed. They go straight out to market to find partners and they go, let's get a contract signed and we'll figure the rest out later. But actually figuring out who your ideal partner is and what that actually looks like is very, very important at first as to what kind of partners you want to go after. Then doing appropriate discovery with those partners. So how do you want to work together? What does good partnership look like to you? What does bad partnership look like to you? Where has it been successful and not successful in the past? Like, what are your expectations of us and what do we expect of you in return? Like, having those conversations initially is so, so important before you've even got the contract signed and start onboarding your partners. So there's a whole piece of discovery to do when you're actually signing partnerships initially. Once you've got your partners eventually signed and you've done all of that appropriate discovery and discussions, you'll move into your enable and onboard phase. So this is where you actually bring your partners into the business and enable them effectively to go to market with you. You should be thinking about joint value propositions, like what's your messaging together? Because so many companies can try and do it separately. They go to their partners and say, this is our message, this is our value proposition, take it to market on our behalf. And actually, there is a joint value proposition to be had there. Like, these partners have value as well. That's why they are part of, your partner ecosystem. So what is your joint value proposition? What is your joint message and your joint go to market? And then enabling your partners on how they can appropriately pitch you and them together in the market. What are some of the objections that they might come against? How do you differentiate yourselves? That's really key. And it can be as simple as an elevator pitch. I see that missed all the time, or it changes and partners aren't effectively enabled in order to go to market with your offering. So that's really important as well. And that will continue. It's not just a one-stop shop. You can't just enable once and expect it all to work. And in that time, you'll have your joint business planning as well, which is really, really important. And then moving forward into growth, it's all about navigating change and revisiting those expectations that you set initially. If you've had really good conversations initially with your partners in the discovery phase, you'll know what they expect, they know what you expect, you know what good partnership looks like. And you want to be checking in with partners as you start to grow the partnership. Are we meeting those expectations? Are we working together in the way in which we committed and said we would? And when it comes to making changes within your business, especially if you're a startup or a scale up, there's going to be changes to your pricing model, how you're going to market your messaging. You're going to have funding rounds, like all of these things. Tell your partners as soon as you can. Like, they shouldn't be the last to know about everything, and educating them on those changes will be really important for the growth of your partnership.
Wow. I mean, I'm always so just like struck when I listen to you because like I'm taking tons of notes myself. But two things that like really, really, really got stuck in my mind is just like when it comes to partnership selection, how important is what I call a sniff test because I'm a very, very, very passionate person about dogs. But sometimes organically you just vibe with somebody or you really don't. So, I mean, how important is this just like values slash personal closeness to a partner? Can you just like continue the partnership if you have like a really weird feels like creeps from the get-go, or if this a warning sign, like how would you pursue personally?
Yeah, I think if you're a partner manager and you are going to be managing this partnership and you don't get on with the person on the other side, like, that's a problem, right? Partnerships are about relationships. So I think that part is really important, and each person will have their own answer to that as well. Like, that's really important for me. I want to build really strong and valuable relationships. Like, my best partners from the course of my career, I'm still in contact with now. We still connect even though we're not in the same businesses and we're not partnered anymore. I still maintain really good relationships with them, and I'd always want to be able to do that, and I'd want the people that I support from my business now to be able to do that with their partners too. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a potential partnership there if you don't get on with one person on the other side of the table, because that's just one person. They could change roles. There could be another person within your organization that could manage that partnership and would get on with that person as well. So yes, from a person to person perspective, it's important that you're able to build a valuable relationship, but that doesn't mean that your businesses won't align and that your businesses can't generate revenue together. You might just need a different person.
Gosh, I would love to have yours then in my life. So that leads me to the second question. You mentioned that, like, with some of the partners, you're still working. And just like when you are describing this framework, could you walk us through an example for either a client example or something from your previous life, meaning where before you became an entrepreneur, to just like provide this vivid, picturesque image of how partnerships are done in the real life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will talk about one partnership that's very kind of close to my heart from my previous company. So they were actually the first partner that I pitched to on my own for that company in that role.
It's
Obviously,
amazing.
yeah, and I'd worked at previous companies before and done all of that, but it was the first time I was pitching on my own, and I was so nervous. And these two people came to this call and they said, look, we're comparing you against your two other competitors, and we're only going to partner with one. We want to take an exclusive stack to market. And that doesn't really happen. I was working in the data space, and there's so many offerings there that many consultancies will partner with lots of different offerings. So it was unusual for a company to say, we're going to take an exclusive stack to market, so we're comparing you against your competitors. So I pitched the offering, I gave them all of the information that they needed, and then they went away. And I also talked to them in that time about what partnership meant to me and what partnership meant to them. What good looked like, what bad looked like, what kind of relationship that they wanted to have with a partnership, especially if they were taking on an exclusive one. That would mean that we would be spending a lot of time together. And one of my favorite questions to ask, and I've talked about this a few times before, is, do you want to be the type of partner that I speak to every day and send Christmas cards to and go out for drinks with and have a really good relationship with? And if so, that's going to require us doing quite a bit of business together. Or do you want to be the partner that, I might check in with, once a month, or I send a newsletter to, or a webinar, and we do a little bit of business together, but not much? Or the type of partner that, we sign up together, we might do the odd deal here and there, but I generally keep you updated. And they chose the first one. They were like, we want a really strong partnership here. So, I knew what they expected and I knew what they wanted. And they went away for 2 months, and I really thought I'd lost the partnership. I kept in touch as much as I felt was appropriate, but they went away and compared us to all of our other competitors. And when they came back, they said, the reason that we chose to partner was because of you as an individual, because we like your approach to partner management and we want to work with you. And we believe in the offering, but all of the offerings out there are great. And we want to work with you. And I was like, okay, this is amazing. And the reason that I had approached them initially was because one of our customers had recommended them. And that's really important when going to find new partners as well, is asking your customers who they like to work with. Most of your customers will already have a partner, a consultancy, or a reseller, or someone, or a few people that they trust and that they're already working with. And that really helps build your ideal partner profile. So they'd already been recommended. We had this amazing initial discovery piece, a really good connection. We did really get on as individuals as well. They compared us to other people in the market, and they came back and they signed up with us. So that's our initial kind of partner phase done. Then when we move into the second stage of, enable and onboarding, again, I asked what that would look like to them. At the time, I was building a certification for the company that I was working for, was building partner certifications. So I kind of used them as almost like our guinea pigs. I was like, tell me again, like what you would love to see from partner enablement, what's worked for you before, what works for your teams. Do you want your sales and technical teams together? Do you want to split them up? Do you want to do in-person enablement? Do you want to do online? Like, I really got to know what they wanted and valued as a business, and what was going to provide value for them and going to be relevant. That's really important as well when it comes to enablement. So we went through all of that. We did predominantly online sessions, and we split sales and technical, which is ultimately how I ended up splitting the certifications at that company. And then as we moved through into our kind of grow phase, we did, quarterly check-ins, we did QBRs with exec sponsors, we ran incentives for their team when made sense, we did marketing events together, we did sales events together, and we also socialized together. I tried to go into their office once every other week if possible, to at least make sure I was spending time with them. And we built a really good relationship, and they ended up being a client of mine when I started my business. So that partnership has kind of remained, and I'm really, really grateful for those relationships.
That's absolutely wonderful. Congratulations, Eleanor, for building and maintaining this relationship. But maybe some of our listeners are thinking, okay, should I drink and have coffees with my clients? Is it like a friendship or is it a marriage? What is going on here? So let's be a little bit more tangible in the next round. So what are the metrics? Because relationship building, absolutely support this. I mean, if we cannot trust each other, trust is for me fundamentals of how we can do business together. If we can rely on each other, if this is broken, nothing can happen. But still, at the end of the quarter, you have to show some numbers. So how do you measure partnership success and progress?
Yeah, so it can be measured a few ways, and I will always typically build a health matrix for my clients, and I've done this, as a partner manager myself before. At a really high level, partner generated revenue is a really great place to start. So how much revenue is your partner generating, and how much business are you doing together? You can then break it down into number of opportunities, so partner sourced opportunities, or joint won opportunities. It depends if you have a lot to pass back to your partner or not. Many businesses, especially in the early days, they do not have leads to pass back to their partners. So it's far easier to measure the revenue and the number of leads that partners bring to you. That's typically what I see a lot of partner managers being measured on as well. The revenue that their partners are generating and the number of opportunities. And then they might have some KPIs around joint marketing activity and enablement as well. So those are really good ways to look at the success of your partnerships, and some of the things that I will include in a partner health matrix as well. So how much business, where is that business coming from? Are you doing joint marketing events, and are you doing enablement and education with your partners? You can then, when it comes to these health matrix, include things like, do your values align as an organization? How is the relationship? Like, there's a few other things that I would put into a matrix as well, and then I would score that, and then each partner would receive a score based on the different areas.
Fantastic and absolutely clear. I love when you start with revenue, so it's not like the satisfaction score of the survey that we send to our partners, because at the end of the day, business is business. This is why we're here from. This is what we're trying to do. And when it comes to just like what we talked about in our second question, and just like the mistakes and everything, I do think that there are a lot of companies who don't even have these metrics, right? Who don't even like hold their partnerships accountable, because as you describe it, as I see it, partnership is like CRM. It's like your sales job. You have to be diligent. You have to be like 100% on board. This is the new job that you sign up for.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And there are a few ways of tracking that as well. There's lots of partnership technologies out there. I tend not to recommend them until you've got a partner program that's actually generating revenue. I see a lot of people try and invest in partner technologies super early. There's a couple that actually help with like account mapping and day-to-day like tangible activities to support you generating revenue together. They're worth it. But when it comes to actually using, a PRM to track partner generated revenue, you can wait a little bit of time for that. But yeah, tracking everything that comes in through your partners, using data is so important. Understanding like how many leads your partners are actually generating, what their close rate is. Typically, partner driven leads should have a higher close rate than your direct leads. So what is that looking like? Are they higher value? Are they closing quicker? You want to be able to see all of this information from your partners in order to look at how well they're doing.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Okay. So let's be the most plastical that we can be right now. So let's say that I have like my genius AI driven CRM, and I would be like poaching you for a partnership. If you could poach this like to your clients or something like that, what was the process like? In practice, how would we look like? Would we be like, hey, Eleanor, like I have this fantastic piece of software. Maybe we could be working together. Let's hop on a call. Or how does it happen in real life?
It can happen at many different ways, to be honest. I have built partnerships just off cold outreach on LinkedIn before really well. It can be done. It's not the first way that I would say to do it. So when I talked about identifying your ideal partners and speaking to your customers about who they typically work with already, if you've had those conversations with your customers to say, look, which partners do you work with? Which ones do you value? Hopefully they can introduce you. And if they can, getting an introduction from your customers is amazing. And if not, asking your customers, can I reference you when reaching out to this prospective partner and say, this person recommended you, we work with them already, we would love to collaborate and see if there's a partnership here together. And the other way is most software providers today, independent software vendors will have a bigger technology platform that they work with, that they host their solution on. So they might host it on some of the big data warehouse products.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you've got those, then have a look at who they partner with as well. Because partnering with their partners could help you generate more revenue together. So you want to look at synergies between the partners that you already have and see if there's potential to work with their partners. There should be lots of connections within your partner ecosystem.
Fantastic. Absolutely stunning. Again, taking tons of notes because this is so totally hands on. And where I want to go next in our conversation is just like this imposter syndrome, right? You mentioned this proximity and this ecosystem of partners, but sometimes, like we're this like scale up from Europe and then like how to approach like Amazon Web Services or something like that. I mean, things get awkward really quick. So how can like a scale up or a startup get into a partnership with some billion-dollar company, the household names that we all know?
Yes. So I have two things to kind of say about this, I would say. First thing, do you really want to? Like, I
Yes,
would really
because
ask
we need big
companies.
logos on our website. We need logos on our website. We absolutely want this. It's correct.
Okay, so yes, if you really want to and it's for a reason, then finding out what's important to them is key. And it's key throughout all partnerships. Like what's actually important to them, what's going to help you, have a good relationship together. I know for one of the big players, for example, that if you're a software vendor, they need you to drive $400,000 of revenue on their platform in order for you to get a lot of attention from them. You can sign up as a partner, probably online, and you'll get put in a massive pool of partners managed by one person, and you won't get a ton of attention. Then going to that person and saying, what does it take for us to get the attention that we want from this company? What does it take for us to build a really strong partnership with you? And they'll tell you, this is how I'm targeted. This is what will get you into the next team or the next, level up of partnership. You're probably going to have to do this lot of certifications. You need to generate this much revenue with us, these many customers, and get on, a certain platform. Once you're there, you're going to get more attention. But just asking the question, like, what does it take? What's important to you? Because they'll all be different.
Absolutely stunned by this. Maybe like just like from my world, that what I love to explore are also accelerator programs. So sometimes innovation management function could be a very welcoming partner to just like test new technologies. And like if you are early on, even accelerators, because all the big corpos have like accelerators and kind of like testing technologies. So this is like a very, very, very good chance to at least like get to a seat at the table, because at the end of the day, it's about proximity, right? It's about having like this direct line of communication with a decision maker and preferably establish some trust in order to cut chase. I don't know, like in your client portfolio, if there are smaller companies as well, or if like everybody's making 100 million a year. So is there like any differentiation between the smaller and the bigger accounts that you are managing? How and what partnerships are you pursuing?
So I typically work with startups and scale-ups. I like building partner programs from scratch. And the reason I like doing this and like helping companies do it early doors is so that they don't spend a ton of time and money and resources further down the line fixing something that they, try to pull together in the early stages. So I typically work with customers once they've already found a product market fit, when they've already got customers on board, they've got some case studies, they know how to take their own offering to market. I won't work with clients before that because I don't think that they can work with partners effectively until they've done that for themselves. So if I start from scratch, with clients. There are very few initial challenges as long as there's, buy-in from leadership. And then it's just about teaching them a new way of working. So it's educating the teams internally about how to work with partners. And largely I wouldn't say always challenge free, but it's a little bit more challenge free, I think, than working with, clients who are much further down the line, which I have. I have a couple of clients that have already got multi-million pound or multi-million dollar partner programs and are generating revenue, but they've also got a ton of partners that aren't generating revenue. And that's where I see consistent challenges with companies of all sizes, is that partner activation piece is actually getting partners to generate revenue. They might have signed hundreds of partners and only a small proportion of them are actually doing anything. And they're asking, how do we make this work better? How can we generate more revenue with our partners? Do we need to scrap them all? Do we need to start again? Do we need to change our partner program? What does that look like?
When I'm listening to you, I come down again and again to this underlying thought of what makes like a good partnership management. Because your mindset, and forgive me, like I spend most of the time talking with technical people, with founders and product managers, and what we are talking about is like an entirely new universe, right? So I had like aha moments on a minute basis. I could like literally KPI this conversation to the number of insights that I had per minute. But nevertheless, what makes a good partner program manager? Who is this person?
A good partner manager to me, and everyone has their own style. I think that's really important as well as having your own style of partner management. I always found that I worked well because I'm super transparent and really honest with partners. And that really helps with that expectation setting piece and the revisiting expectations. Like, I have no problems going back to partners 6 months down the line and saying, we're not generating revenue together. This isn't working. Let's diagnose this problem together, because this is what we committed to initially. This is what we said we would do together. We've done, some of the activities, or you haven't come to the table with some of your commitments, or we haven't come to the table with some of ours. Let's figure out what is not working here. I don't really want to just let partnerships go and not actually ever find out what went wrong, or not challenge it, or not try and address those things. And I think that's always what's really important to me, is not having the fear of having potentially uncomfortable conversations with your partners is really important in order to maintain a strong relationship and ensure that that revenue is still being generated.
I don't know. I will probably just like slowly drop the mic. The pre-last question is, how do you see the future of partnerships? Is it getting like more important, less important? Is it going to stay the same when you are talking to your companies and your colleagues? How do you think that your industry will be evolving in future?
I think partnerships are becoming more and more important all the time. We hear more investors talking about it now. I've heard a few people working at investment firms that are saying we're more likely to invest in companies that have a partner program or a partner-driven motion, because they know that partner-driven leads close quicker, faster, often larger, and have a higher conversion rate in general. And that means that also your routes to market are distributed. Your sales team half of them could leave tomorrow. And if you have partners that are operating on your behalf and going to market for you, that means that your business can still generate revenue. It de-risks your business by having a successful partner program. So, lots of investors are understanding the value of it now. I think there's more roles out there within partnerships. People are recognizing the importance of varying roles, and that comes down to part of being a good partner manager as well, as effectively navigating those teams within organizations, and having that wide skill set. And also because the technology space, I have found recently, is getting very niche. Companies aren't setting up technologies anymore and saying we can do everything. They're setting up technology companies and saying we do this specific thing really, really well, which means that for a client, it's really complex. Like, there's so many technologies that they can go out and bring within their business. Like, it's constantly evolving. So to avoid them bringing in massive internal teams, they can go to a partner that they trust and say, what do you recommend? We've got this challenge or this problem. Can you go and source the best technology for us? Can you recommend the best technologies for us? So for me, partnerships is just going to become even more prevalent than ever.
Well, so the investment perspective that investors are prone towards this brokerage of trust, that like people are flooded with all the decisions that they have to do in their life, and selecting the software, niche software, isn't one that they want to take independently and do all the necessary research. And I think that it's also just like, this is my hypothesis. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I was thinking that human touch is getting increasingly important, because right now every other comment on LinkedIn is AI generated. And it's just good to see a human face, not just like product led, whatever shit, but to talk with a human, to develop a relationship, to just like have this genuine connection. And this is how trust is built. So this would be like the third component, which is very important for me, because sometimes by just like being included in a partnerships, I'm literally more accountable. It's
Yeah.
literally more fun to work. I'm more driven. I'm better at performing this. It's this human element to it that I don't get elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I love partnerships. Like, it's such a valuable source of business. You can build so many great relationships through partnerships. I absolutely adore it. That's why I've always worked within this space. I think I did direct sales for about 7 months, and then I went into partnerships, and I have loved it ever since. It's complex for sure, but I think it's so valuable and so rewarding.
Fantastic. Eleanor, I give you like open mic now, so you can talk about like literally anything. If there is something that you would like to tell and maybe we haven't addressed yet, and then just like give some hints how our audience can continue conversation with you and just like stay in this wonderful partnership loop.
Yes, absolutely. I think the one kind of piece of advice I have for anyone that is starting a partner program today, or they've started a company and they think, I'd love to work with partnerships. My advice would be, before engaging, with anyone like us, if you're early stages, is don't go to market with too many types of partnerships. I mentioned 8. Please do not set up all 8 styles of partnerships within your organization early stages. Most organizations work with around 2 to 3 types of partners. So have a think about what kind of partner style and partner program you would want, without going to market with tons of them. It's one thing I always say, because if I get into a company and they say, we've got like 5 different partner types, that is much harder to kind of scale down than it is to scale up. So yes, absolutely. If you're thinking of starting a partner program today, we would love to help. As Branchworks, we specialize in helping companies to build partner programs, build partner education, and effectively go to market with partners. And we can either do that from scratch. If you have no partners today and you want to get started, we can do it there. Or if you already have a partner program, we can come in and we can support that to be even more effective than it is today. We can help you diagnose any challenges, amplify your successes, and help you to continue to generate revenue with partners. So if people would like to reach out to us, they can contact me on LinkedIn. My name's Eleanor Thompson. There's also a Branchworks page on LinkedIn, on the business page, and you can go to branchworks.io as well to find out a little bit more. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, and I post quite a lot of content and free content and advice on there on partnerships anyway, so it's a great place to go and just have a look if you want to get started.
I definitely agree with that, because this is where we met initially. So
It was,
Eleanor,
yeah.
this is how we got here today. No, but nevertheless, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I'm sure that we will craft at least like 3 or 4 LinkedIn posts, because like my note taking looks like this. So I'm sure that there are like 4 different frameworks that we can develop here. I would like to thank you for your kindness, for your openness to sharing the knowledge, and just like transparency in order to pass just this ground thinking about partnerships. Because when it comes to partnership, many times we think you need to know this and this and that, and you need to go to like Harvard Business School or whatnot. Like, we're making this super complicated, but you're telling to us that it is manageable, and for that I thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest, and thanks everybody who has been listening to this show. Let's go to market.
Thank you so much.